Ravens flock, what's going on? I hope everybody's having a good week so far. I was definitely having a decent week, but I was a little frustrated because in my fantasy league, I literally traded DJ Moore like an hour and a half before that game last night where he put up like 200 yards and three touchdowns and decided to have the best game of his life. But it is what it is, man. But as far as like our team going on right now, obviously, I wasn't able. I got too caught up with work and other stuff, so I wasn't able to come through with the reaction when we dominated the Browns a couple days ago. That was still a great game to see. Obviously, it wasn't a super impressive game on paper as far as you look at the numbers. We passed for like 186, we rushed for like 130, which by our standards, rushing for 130 it still isn't like that big of a deal, but at the same time, I was still impressed with what I saw. It was a very efficient game. Lamar was putting all his throws on the money. Obviously, Myles Garrett was still a menace, but I was still happy to also see Tyler Linderbaum back. Our defense like showed up in a major way. We shut down the backup quarterback for the Browns, DTR. A lot of people are saying that, oh, we only did that because Watson didn't play. I really don't believe that, to be honest with you. Like, I do believe Watson's better than DTR. I just don't think that it would have made a significant difference considering how we performed. Now, before the game actually happened last week, when I thought Deshaun was still playing, I did think it was going to be a closer game. I think I predicted the score to be like 32-27 or something like that. But again, obviously, once Deshaun got out, that did make it slightly different based on how people assumed it would play out. But again, when you watch the game, when you watch how we executed on both sides of the ball, I don't think it was really gonna matter which quarterback was in there. Like, either way, we were gonna give them problems no matter which way you slice it. But it was still good to see Andrews really get some love, really get back in the game. He had 2 touchdowns. He caught all 5 of his targets. He got 80 yards. He did his thing. He had 2 major plays that I definitely thought were impressive. That first play was that catch that Lamar threw across his body that Andrews caught, and then he took for another 20 yards up the field. And then, of course, that back corner of the end zone catch where it was in a spot that only he could catch it, and he went up there, got it off the top shelf, and stayed in bounds. I was definitely happy to see that. Zay made some good catches, including that catch that was for 43 yards on 2nd and 29. Even on the defensive side of the ball, Brandon Stevens had a great moment where he was actually able to hold on to the ball and get a pick. I know a lot of people are rooting for Brandon Stevens because it seems like he tried so hard. Obviously, he plays with heart, but he's struggled so much with ball skills. So a lot of people were definitely happy to see him have his moment where he could get a pick, go out there and actually get his hands on the ball and get a pick. Geno Stone also had a pick, and then at the end of the game, Kyle Hamilton had a pick. I think that's Kyle Hamilton's first pick of his career. I'm not 100% sure, but I can't remember him getting a pick up until this point. So I think that was his first pick. But either way, still a great win. We had a couple of great moments. I was disappointed that one Justice Hill run got called back. I think it was for 50 yards or something. But either way, that game went as well as we could have possibly wanted it to go. And now we're in a position where we have full control of the North, especially going into this game in a couple days where we're going to be playing the Steelers. I do fully believe that we're going to go in there and dominate that game. I know a lot of people are saying we can't sleep on them because it's still a rivalry game, and so they're going to play hard, which, yeah, I know that's going to be the case. But at the same time, I do also think that if we could play as efficiently as we played against the Browns, who, in my opinion, I believe had a better defense than the Steelers, if we could go out there and carve up a number 1 defense like that, I do believe, especially since, if I'm not mistaken, the Steelers still aren't going to have Cam Hayward. I think he might be out the season. If we could go out there and just execute to that same level or better, there's no way the Steelers can stand a chance, regardless of the rivalry and regardless of how tough they're going to fight. I just can't imagine them possibly being able to stand a chance against us. But again, we're going to see how that whole thing plays out. I'm definitely excited to see it. I'm interested to see if Marlon comes back Probably not, but I do know Marlon's back to practicing. OBJ's back to practicing. Bateman came back. Keaton Mitchell came back. So it's definitely good to see that we're definitely healing up at the right time. With which again is a nice thing to see that right when we're about to hit our stride, right when we're about to really hit that mid season, that everybody's kind of working their way back. So as much as we get injured, at least this is the best possible scenario for a team like us that gets injured this much, to where everybody gets that injury early in the season. Then we were able to get it out the way quick, and then we could really start rolling over people in the next coming weeks. So I'm definitely excited to see that. But assuming Marlon Humphrey doesn't come back next week, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I'm assuming Brandon Stevens will be put on George Pickens. I'm assuming. And that to me is going to be an interesting matchup, because Brandon Stevens, like I said earlier, he has been showing a lot of heart, and he has shown an ability to really strap up on some receivers. But again, the biggest issue with him has been his ball skills. In so many cases, he struggles to actually make a play on the ball. So it's like he's locking people down until it's time to go up for a catch. Then they still just boss him anyway, pretty much. So that's going to be a little concerning as we go up against George Pickens, because, funny enough, George Pickens, his biggest struggle is getting separation. So I do believe Brandon Stevens can probably keep up with him easy. But then, of course, Brandon Stevens' biggest issue is playing the ball in a 50-50 situation, and that's actually somewhere where George Pickens actually excels at. So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see how they play each other, or if they play each other at all. One change that I definitely do want to see in this game compared to the last game is I do want to see us get back to how we normally are when it comes to being able to control the time of possession. Like the Browns, even though they didn't do anything in that game, they did beat us when it comes to time of possession. I think we had like 28, 29 minutes. They had about 30 minutes. So I definitely want to kind of see us get back to where we normally are, where, obviously we usually dominate in that area. So I definitely want to see us really take back full control, not only of the momentum in the game. Obviously, I think we're gonna be able to score at will, but also definitely just really even the pace of the game, to where we just wind the clock down like we normally do. Something else that I want to see, of course, is definitely an emphasis put on TJ Watt. We saw Myles Garrett be able to wreak havoc on us last week, and again, he's at that level to where it's just, no matter how hard you try to stop him, it's going to be not impossible, but close to impossible. But TJ Watt is another one who's at that same level when it comes to what he could do rushing the passer. So I definitely want to see us put more of an emphasis on trying to stop these guys, trying to keep Lamar up. Lamar still, he didn't really get hit too many times in that Browns game, but it still was more than I would have liked to see obviously. So we'll see how that goes. I definitely think they're gonna keep that in mind, of course. As far as score predictions, we still haven't hit 30 points yet, so I'm still gonna keep predicting 30-point games for the time being. I'm thinking my prediction is gonna be 31-17. I think we're gonna win. I don't think they're gonna, even though 17 is a lot, I don't think they're gonna. Actually, I'm gonna switch that out. Actually, I think the score is gonna be 31-10. I really the only way I could see them possibly getting in the end zone is maybe if Najee Harris just has a crazy game where he just balls out and just manages to just get the upper hand on us, running the ball really. Because even though I still think our defense has been playing lights out, it's still in the back of my mind, kind of pops up a couple weeks ago when we played the Colts, just how Zach Moss was just running all over us. So again, even though our defense is playing lights out, they're not perfect. That may be one area that they may try their hardest to get going, especially because I know Kenny Pickett just had a knee injury. So even when Kenny's playing, he wasn't going to do a whole lot of damage against us. But now, especially when you talk about him possibly not being 100%, they're probably going to want to either get the ball out of his hands quick, or definitely see if they could get Najee into a groove as early as possible. So I definitely want to see us try to definitely go in there and be prepared for that. But, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know, do you think that we could have played the Browns game even better than we already did? Or did we play it as well as we should have or could have? Do you think we're gonna dominate the Steelers? And what's your score prediction for this game gonna be?